All right, it's October, everybody. You know what time it is? Because Halloween is eternal in this multiverse, baby. All right, get
Goddamn
the
right.
skeletons up. Get the skeletons up. Are those live skeletons?
These were freshly dug. I got them from a friend of ours.
They're
Fucking hang you on the wall.
Ray. They're dancing. Were these loaned from Cetra?
No, these were not loaned.
Okay.
Yeah. I mean, on top of all the other stuff that I've taken from that car, I might be having issues. Wait a second. Hang on. Wait a second. Wait, where's the books? Gerald?
You got your book. You got your books in order, right?
Well, a couple of them are missing, and I just some of these streamers are looking like
Wait,
like
hold
some
on.
of the pages.
Ray, do you smell that?
Oh, wait. I know that smell anywhere.
Stay out of there, guys. That was a rough one. Yeah.
Oh my god. Oh my god. Oh no, Joe. Oh, is that? Oh fuck.
Oh,
That's one of the books in the gash.
Whatever toilet paper you guys have back there hurts really good.
Oh god. We're gonna need to sort of clean that shit up.
We're not fixing your plumbing again.
Just fucking close the door. Fucking blockade the door. Fucking.
You don't like the way it stinks? Nice, good.
We don't need another fucking newborn nurgling growing up in this fucking place.
I miss roses.
Yeah.
Oh boy.
Are you guys throwing a corn festival or something? What's all these fucking skulls?
Oh shit! It's the Kronkosgory's back.
Dude, Ray, he showed
nice
up.
to see you too. I fucking live here.
I was gonna say he showed up and he never left.
You live in the blood moat.
Just swims around in the blood moat.
Yeah, I mean you
can't have a lot more Bretonians if it weren't for me. You're welcome.
It's the ultimate Florida though. Like you have a moat with a gator in it. Like
not wrong.
We identify as crocodiles, thank you.
Oh, okay, sorry.
We don't accept no slurs in this tavern.
Oh, forgive me, fucking yeah. I'm gonna take a PC course from the Nurgle Demon.
Hey, I got a lot to teach you. Don't worry.
Oh man, Fuzz, have you ever encountered two demons of the Chaos Gods in one tavern before?
I don't believe so, and I was hoping never to have that happen, but here we are. I guess it is the season for more demons, though.
Well, unfortunately, you're about to experience a third one. I think my contact should be in very soon with the good
Hello,
stuff.
boys.
There he is.
I got the stuff for you. It's all the best stuff I could find.
What better way to excessively celebrate Halloween than the one that is all about excess? I cannot believe I just said that. What is wrong with me?
You know me so well.
I feel like Gerald summons more of these demons than anybody else.
You don't have to fucking pull in an area and kill half of them. Jesus Christ.
Toasty, you were a complete accident when I was building that fighting pit. Come on now.
I'm your favorite accident, Dad.
Oh no!
Dad.
He called me Daddy.
This is why you get the kids into divorce.
Yeah.
Oh man. Oh man. Okay. What's this box doing on the bar? Ray, did you order something? Did you order something in your Warp Zone High again?
No, but I'm about to be in one. Fucking, there's a pile over here. I'll be back in a second.
Enjoy, buddy. Enjoy. Special delivery just for you.
I'm just here for the beer. I'll be right back.
Okay, you get the beer. I'll see what this box says here.
I don't know her.
Oh, this is addressed to me. Hold on, let me see what this letter says here. To Gerald, apologies for the length of time to get this working, but as promised, here is the piece of your soul I took and the interest. A fully automated skeleton bound to your will as you see fit in the tavern. You may name him however you like, but I call him the Grimcron. Thank you for your eternal patience, and until Nagash sees fit to send me to your plane of existence, I fear I must depart for an indefinite time. Have a good life in a tavern, and blessings of Cetra upon you and Ray. Sincerely, Jack. P.S. If you want to complete your soul, just be sure to eat the phylactery. Oh! I totally forgot about this.
Jack's still alive.
Yeah,
I don't think he's
robot?
ever been alive.
Well, let me rephrase that. He's still around. He's not been
been
exiled.
You have to
Wherever
take
they
that up
go?
with a Nagash.
Oh.
But I'm glad he actually made good on his promise. Ray, come take a look at this Grimcron with me.
Give me 1 second. Oh my god. Ugh. Oh my god, we have a robot? Oh my wait, hang on. What's his name? Grimcron?
He looks like a Tomb King, but he's metal.
Oh, this is cool. Oh wait, hang on. The fuck?
Grimcron, he looks like a T-Rex.
No, it's just a really tall metal skeleton.
Grimlock.
How do we turn? Do we? You know, there's not a wind up thing. I'm not really sure. Like,
Yeah.
you know, do we?
Well, we'll figure how to turn them on later. I'm gonna give me a second. I'm gonna do something with this phylactery and actually get my soul back together. Hold on.
I want to see if I can forge something out of the metal it's made with. This is pretty fucking cool.
Now, hang on. I'm not letting you scrap this thing for parts.
Well,
Not
hang on.
yet.
Hang on. You guys want to
Sounds
get
like a
turned
challenge.
on. You guys said you wanted to try and get it turned on. Just
Oh,
give
no.
me a couple hours with it. I think I can make it
Oh my
happen.
goodness! Please be gentle.
Don't worry. It'll come back to you in one piece. I can guarantee that
Oh my
part.
goodness!
Oh, the lubricant.
Oh, the lubricant. Where
Or-
we're going, we won't need
none.
lube.
I just heard Toasty say something about lubricant, and then I suddenly got afraid.
Sorry, that's me. I'm not in the house.
Going in dry.
No!
Is this a group event?
Don't worry, I'll get you something
Can
for
be
the
if you want it to
pain.
be.
Oh, yuck.
Oh my goodness!
Okay, let's before things get really weird, Ray, are we talking about anything in the wonderful world of Warhammer Fantasy?
We are. However, I'm gonna have to get some of these pages off the walls because I do not think Nagash is gonna be very happy with this. But while I'm peeling these off and trying to compile this, I think it'd be kind of fun for us to start. We're gonna start this episode a little bit differently. I'm really excited for this episode. This one I'm really, really hyped for. So for you guys who are joining us and you guys who can read the title, because I'm gonna assume you guys are smart enough, we're gonna be talking about a better love story than Twilight. I
That
know
was
that
rude.
seems
I can't read.
impossible.
Yeah, Toast and I are idiots.
I can't read. We're going to be talking about one of my favorite characters and probably the true corpse emperor in Warhammer, Vlad von Carstein and the Vampire Counts.
All right. Now listen up. We're going to make vampires great again. We're going to make them awesome.
Don't you fucking compare. Don't get that accent out of your fucking. No, this is not Vlad.
They all have Jewish names. What difference?
That
does
is
it
not my Vlad. Don't you fucking
So
give
you're
me
saying
that
Vlad is
bullshit.
cool, like the Dracula, or I guess the Vlad that Dracula's based off of. Yeah.
Yeah, he's Vlad is the Dracula stand-in for Warhammer Fantasy, but his story is really fun and really interesting. But I guess since we're gonna be starting this, let me just roll up my documents. I have my documents right here. Sweet. All right, let me just go up to my.
Wait a second. This Vlad is based on Dracula?
He is.
Are you sure you haven't been taken off of my homework too, Ray?
No, actually, I think might have been some cross pollination very early on in the creation of both of our topics. So
with the knowing GW, I would not be surprised. So that's on them, not you. You do you. Go
yes,
Slay Queen.
I'm gonna
it's
do
okay.
real
Honestly, though, this is giving me a really fun episode. I honestly love. Okay, side tangent. I love series that introduce like Dracula or have like Dracula explored in them. I think that's really fun. I love having every series has their own like version of Dracula. So I think that's just fun. But let's get started by talking about the vampire counts of Sylvania and Vlad. So before that, though, let's go over just some quick names, some alternate titles that you give to the vampires. So you obviously have the undead, the vampire lords, vampires generally, but that's kind of derogatory because vampires are very egotistical. So it's very common for a vampire to want to be addressed by their name, or at the very least by their bloodlines, like their respective families, which I'll get to later on. So you don't want to insult a vampire by not giving them their proper name. You also have the vampire counts. However, my favorite alternate title for the vampires is Nagash's bastard children.
They're
Damn.
just like me,
All
for
right.
real, for real.
So vampires. Can anyone? You know what? Let me put this on the floor. Can you guys give me a description of the vampire? Your idea of a vampire, and then I'll tell you just how close you are to Warhammer Fantasy's version of a vampire, and Vlad in particular. So let's do a little round table. Let's pass let's pass the tinkered, and start with Gerald.
I know a few different versions of vampires. One of which I refuse to talk about, and it's related to the title of the episode. Another one I will wait until next episode. Hint, hint, cough, cough. Spoiler, spoiler. But as far as general vampires, undead, very bat-like features, humanoid, long fangs, drink blood, blah 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 blah, and either extremely ethereal and beautiful and alluring because of the whole charming thing, or just hideous and monstrous and corpse-like. And it's one or the other. There's no in between.
All right. Pass the tinker down. Fuzz, what about you? Anything you want to add to the vampire description, or anything from a series you might know that you want to add on to the vampire appearance and structure we got?
So for me, I would probably, especially for like vampires in a fantasy setting, um, my favorite ones that come to mind is the depiction of them in like the Netflix Castlevania shows. Just like the way they're structured and like the aesthetics of them are really cool, and also the idea, not necessarily from that, but in general, of the vampire needing to feed to kind of keep up appearances. So like the more they feed, they keep the more human look. But like either the less they feed, or sometimes just the older they get, they start to get that more like sunken, saggy, sallow skin.
Yeah, very good, very good. That's one of my favorite ones as well. Like one of my favorite plays on vampires.
It's so much fun.
Yes. All right. What about you, Toasty?
So I'll throw in the blade point of it too, where it's if you saw Blade 2 with Nomak, the open face guy.
Okay, yeah.
Like it ranges, and I'm gonna go to Castlevania 2. It ranges from like the beautiful ones to the ones who look like literal bats, or like bald, fanged, angry people.
Yeah.
And
Yeah, I think Blade is one of the cooler ones because, their mouths are fucking impressive and terrifying.
but those are usually ones I go for. Like, and then there's, what was it, Dracula Untold, where Vladimir was the savior of a nation and was still like he looked like himself.
Also, can I just say, Toasty, how come you aren't fucking mentioning Dio Brando? What the fuck?
Look, because Dio's a special case, and like I don't
That's a
I don't
one-off.
like lumping him in with like vampire lore because he's so far beyond that.
Okay,
And, like,
fair,
he's
fair.
waiting to bring that in for my topic for next episode.
I say
Too.
that's legit, Toasty.
He's got laser eyes and time
Yeah, he has laser eyes.
Like it's not a. Usually, I feel like vampires and ice are the things that go together, not vampires and laser eyes.
So, all right. What about Joe? What about you? What are you adding to the vampire pot?
Well, I'm just gonna go right into what Gerald's trying to avoid. And have you ever seen Twilight? They're sexy.
Damn it!
And they're mysterious. Also, have you ever seen the movie The Descent?
I haven't. No.
Yes.
Oh,
yes.
I legitimately think those are just the director's take on vampires, because basically they like live in caves. I mean, they kill people, bathe in their blood, drink their blood.
Good choice.
I mean, they eat the meat too and stuff, whatever. But like, I don't know, it's that creepy no eyes, like other heightened senses type of deal.
Yeah. Very sweet. Very sweet. All right. Anything you want to add? Any final adjustments, Zane? What do you got for vampires?
Typically, at least in all the depictions I've seen, usually everything's in black and white for some reason. I haven't figured that one out yet. Everybody's usually all the vampires I'm used to are usually wearing very like Victorian Gothic style clothing, very dark but very regal at the same time.
Bounce on it, crazy style.
Yeah, and the fancy dress is definitely a big thing with vampires.
Indeed. Oh yeah. Very common standard, I guess, stereotype of them, I guess, is stake through the heart for permanent death.
Yeah, awesome. Actually, I love how you're the only one who like brought up one of those things. Like, no one mentioned fucking garlic. No one mentioned sleeping in fucking tombs and
I
shit.
thought we were just going by looks, damn it.
Yeah, that's boring. I want my
Sure.
sex appeal. It's sex.
But yeah, you know what? Vampires have sex appeal. You're right. Fucking.
That's why we watch Angel.
So, you
Been
guys
a
are
hot
all
minute since I've seen that
basically. You guys are basically all correct for the most part, minus a Twilight reference. That is, for the
me.
most part, vampires
All right.
to a T. So,
Good try,
and
Joe.
this
We
is
still love
typically
you.
where
Don't patronize
the
me.
vampires in Warhammer, like, they thread the line of every type of vampire, and they do this via the bloodlines. So we're going to be covering, like, the bloodlines later on. But every bloodline is basically like your prototypical, like not prototypical, your stereotypical vampire. So, for example, the von Carstein bloodline, these are the more regal, kind of noble Count Dracula style vampires. They're about being like lords and rulers and being like the top echelon, living in prestige and excellence, and like lording over people. Whereas Ushiran's bloodline, his are more monstrous and bestial, and he actually has like werewolves in his vampire army because he embraces the more bestial aspects of the vampires.
So is it a little bit like Vampire the Masquerade, where like your kind of clan, your bloodline affects your like personality to a certain extent, and a little bit like
Yeah.
how you look.
Yeah. Yeah, there's a lot of, from what I understand, a lot of overlap as well with Vampire the Masquerade with the vampires for Warhammer. But to kind of give them a bit more depth, I guess, a bit more, adding a bit more to the vampires, is that they are probably one of the most despised races in, like, the known world, with the only exception being to the Druki and the Skaven. Like, basically, if you were to put them on, like, a pedestal,
Whoa.
like, vampires
The
almost
Beastmen
always
didn't
have
make
the
that
bronze
cut?
medal. What was that, Toasty?
The Beastmen didn't make that cut?
The Beastmen didn't even fucking make that cut.
Bro, they're like, these vampires bad. The dudes who build fucking pillars out of shit and piss, they're alright, I guess.
That's not too bad. I mean, all right, let's not knock the piss and shit thing for a while, okay? I mean, there's something to it.
Hey, don't knock it till you try it.
Do it. The fucking Beastmen are so pathetic. They get 4th place on the most hated faction.
The more forgotten faction.
But yeah, like, and to add to the score in the vampire's face, like not only are they hated by everyone again, like but there are people hating them more being the Druk and the Skaven, but like even other vampires hate vampires, and even the god of the vampires hates the vampires. Now, the god of the vampires we'll get to a little bit later, but here's a fucking huge spoiler. It's fucking Nagash.
Dun dun
To be
dun.
fair, if I was the god of anything in Warhammer, I'd probably hate whatever I created too.
Yeah. So yeah.
I mean,
So
it kind of
no. Oh, go ahead.
it kind of makes sense because everyone likes to dunk on Nagash because Nagash is the worst. So anything created by him is usually going to be universally hated.
Yeah. Like, the Empire hates the vampires, and they send out witch hunters, which are basically their version of inquisitors to hunt down the vampires, right? You have the priests of Mor, who are basically like priests of the Grim Reaper, and they will regularly like protect graveyards, pray to Mor, and some will even take up weapons to fight vampires or people they suspect of being vampires in order to protect the graveyards. Like, fucking imagine like a gravekeeper, but instead of armed with a shovel, he has a fucking like great sword. And if you step too close to the property line, he'll chase you down and cut off your head because you might be a vampire.
Better
That's
see
someone who
some
takes
more.
the job seriously, right there.
The priests are more fun. I like them. They're silly. Oh, and also Chaos fucking hates the vampires.
Well, yeah, like you're undying, so Nurgle is like, nah. You're taking blood, so Corrin's like, nah, that's for me. And fucking Zinch is like, you guys are too predictable. You're gonna sleep in your fucking coffins and then get up and try and fucking suck blood. So he's like, nah, fuck you guys. And Slanesh is like, you guys aren't partying near hard enough. So like, you're
Well,
basically
some
right.
vampires do party pretty hard, actually. But
Not hard
Chaos
enough.
actually
Okay.
hates the vampires because Chaos sees the vampires as a threat. Because when a vampire turns someone into another vampire, their soul is protected from Chaos. Like, Chaos can't claim you once you become a vampire.
You're fucking anti-Eldari. What the fuck?
Yeah, Chaos can claim you if you become a vampire, and because the vampire raised dead, the souls of the dead don't go to Chaos. Because the souls are bounded to the undead bodies.
Sucks to suck.
That sounds terrible.
So it's not like Nagash even has claim over them or anything like that, or is it?
Nagash, technically, if you want to be like really specific, Nagash does have claim over them, but because Nagash is the god of necromancy, anyone created via necromancy still is tied to Nagash. They're just being controlled by a secondary source.
Okay, all right. I see what you're putting down.
Yeah, and if you want to throw in Age of Sigmar, you can technically count the Stormcast Eternals as also necromancy because they're souls that are stolen from Nagash and made into the Stormcast Eternals. But the thing about Nagash is that when the Stormcast Eternals are made, they're being like taken from Nagash, like they're being stolen from him. Whereas like typically necromancy is Nagash isn't the one doing it, but like he's part of giving you the permission to raise the dead in a way. But yes. So yeah, so the undead, so chaos and the undead don't go together, which is honestly really fun. It makes them I kind of like it because it makes vampires seem almost like the lesser of two evils.
All right. I wouldn't go that far.
They're still gonna fucking suck your blood, buddy. What the fuck?
That's what I mean. They're gonna suck
All
something
right.
else. You're gonna be
You want to
I
suck my
mean-
what?
Your
He
I
means
blood.
mean-
the pus, guys. He means the pus.
I was
Sure.
gonna say what. I'm
Sure.
not sure. I'm not sure. Joe has blood running through him exactly.
It's
Yeah.
mayonnaise.
Oh god, you know what? That probably would be what's going through a fucking Nurgle demon's veins. All right. So now we've got the vampires covered, though. You guys have an idea of the vampires for the most part. Let's cover the land that the vampires, the various vampire counts inhabit, because we're gonna be we're gonna be starting this story in the middle because we're going to be covering Vlad von Carstein. So let's cover this a bit in the middle. We're going to be covering Sylvania as a province itself, and eventually as a like smaller province. So Sylvania is the province to the most southeast of the empire. So they're the southeasternmost empire, and they're basically nuzzled in between between two mountains, the World's Edge Mountains where the dwarves live, and the Grey Mountains to their south. So it's literally just like fucking just caught right in the corner. And the thing about Sylvania is it was founded by exiles, criminals, and independent tribes that didn't want to join Sigmar's empire when it was being founded. So as
Australia?
Sigmar was uniting all the tribes to form the empire, you had the northern tribes, like the people in the north who didn't want to join the empire. They went further north and became the Norsil, and then eventually became the Norskins. Went around the peninsula and became the Bretoni, and then eventually became the Bretonians. The guys in the east,
Ew.
however, they just kept going east, and they kept going east until they couldn't go any further and just hit the fucking mountains. And the problem was that these lands, these far eastern lands, yeah, look at that. Look at that fucking map right there. That's a nice map. That's a nice map. All right. So Sylvania would be not the Asterborn. It would be right here. The Fen. Go down. Go down more. They would be Solan, Avalan right here. The Fen one, the Fenos, those ones, those guys. So this is where they would land. This is basically where Sylvania is. It's a little bit smaller though, technically, because that's a lot of territory that's a lot of territory that's not really accounted for. But the thing about Sylvania is it is kind of a shithole because the land is swampy, it's dark, it's rainy, and it's overall just an oppressive and depressing place to live. I've seen it compared to Louisiana Bayou combined with real world Transylvania. So combine those two places together, and that's what Sylvania kind of is.
That sounds awful.
That sounds amazing.
Yeah.
Sounds like Ohio.
Since Ohio.
Valid. Valid.
So the thing about Sylvania is that it was in the like basically people who fled to Sylvania. Hey, look at that. There's another map. So Sylvania is right there. Yeah. And then there's a fucking moot land. Fuck the moot. Fuck those halflings. So yes, you know what? Maybe stay in Sylvania because we're gonna be stay on this image for a while because we're gonna be covering this map for a bit. So Sylvania was inhabited by these people that like the first Sylvanians were for the most part independent up until Sigmar's empire eventually came there, and they were basically forced to join, which I find really funny because they just kept going east to escape Sigmar. They couldn't go any further, and then they ended up still getting absorbed by the Empire. So these guys, so it kind of just sucks to be these guys, I guess.
It's making me think of like they're trying to run from the heavy from TF2. He's just like, I'm coming for you.
Basically. But Sylvania in these early years was a lot like Britonia, but a lot more grim and way more oppressive. So it was a very feudal era technology with an oppressed peasant population. You had the arrogant Nords, you had the knights, you had noble families, and because of the environment that Sylvania had, it made it so that everywhere else around Sylvania was kind of being not industrialized but developing more. Sylvania was always like basically one level behind. They were always just a little bit further behind than everyone else. And
But not as
while
far behind as Bretonia, right?
honestly, they're pretty close. They're honestly pretty close.
Oh.
Yeah, like think it like the Empire as a whole was like on the brink of the Industrial Revolution. They're technically in the Industrial Age in modern 40K. Around this time, they were on the cusp of the Industrial Revolution, but that's still pretty far ahead. And then one of their provinces was literally still stuck in feudal technology era.
Hmm.
Like the I guess the disparity in technology across the Empire is actually like shockingly like it can surprise some people. Like in Sylvania, like gunpowder weapons are considered like magic. Like they don't believe in gunpowder because it seems like such an impossibility. So these guys are very cut off. Another thing though is that because these guys were like knightly houses like Bretonia, they did not have the same chivalrous code that Bretonia had. Because like well Bretonia had a culture that valued strength, honor, and loyalty, and like they adopted the Lady of the Lake. So Sylvanians were more focused on retaining power and influence, and they were honestly like really afraid of losing that power. So part of that is because like their founders were people who were scared of the empire taking like basically them being subservient to the empire. So the people were already inherently rebellious, or at the very least like very very not willing to become like a united force. They were very isolationist already. So you had these knights that were just kind of assholes, just progressively always assholes. And this honestly became how do I put this? Basically the lords of Sylvania just got more and more isolationist because as the empire grew around it, they kind of just had no choice but to kind of just Sylvanian people are very independent, and they've always been independent. So as the empire grew and like developed, Sylvania's customs got more and more, I guess, pushed to the side. I guess, but at the same time, as like basically the best way to put it is Sylvania was expected to kind of like steer closer to the empire while also not being given the benefits of being an empire province. And at the same time, this also meant that for the most part, it's not Bretonia, freaking thing of the horse fuckers, Sylvania was basically given a lot of autonomy that other provinces weren't. That like while they did have like the liberty of being for the most part fairly independent, they lacked a lot of the benefits and safety net that other provinces like say Talabakland and Middenland and Reichland especially were given. So they were basically like a third world country in a way among the provinces. And at the same time, because of this independence streak and the fact that Sylvania was kind of like falling behind in the times, they basically became like the Texas or the Quebec of the empire. Like the Sylvanian province was always like, one of these days we're gonna secede from the empire. There was always like declarations of like becoming an independent nation, but like
Don't mess with
no one is
Slovenia.
gonna take that seriously. Like, it's like, oh, Sylvania, you mean the swampy shithole that has like very little farmland and like we collect taxes from maybe twice a year? Yeah, sure. You guys are gonna be independent.
Oh,
So
man.
they always got that shit end of the stick. But another thing that Slovenia has that lot of other provinces have that a lot of other provinces don't have is they frequently suffer a combination of rainstorms and warpstone fucking meteor showers.
Oh, hey, sounds
Oh,
like a great
Dreams
place
come
for me to
true.
go.
I'm surprised you haven't frequented it enough already.
I'm not allowed over
Can
there
never have too
anymore.
much.
I'm not allowed. I can't cross into Slovenian borders not after the incident. So anyway, yeah. So
Told you about those hamsters.
It wasn't my idea. So because of because of two things. Okay, this is one partly because of Sylvania's position geographically speaking, and Morsley, which is the Warpstone moon. Every Hindeshnat, which is the Warpstone full moon, it gets closer to the planet, to the known world. And what happens is that it's very not common, but it isn't uncommon for fragments of Warpstone to fall to the planet, like to come off Morsley and fall to the planet. And when they fall, because Stirland is positioned right by the mountains, and because of how Morsley orbits the known world, a lot of the warpstone fragments have a tendency to fall either in Talabakland, Stirland, Mootland, or predominantly in Sylvania. Like, basically, if it doesn't hit any one of those other places, it's gonna land in Sylvania. Like, it's just the most common location for the warpstone fragments to fall. And if this wasn't bad enough, Sylvania is a land that is like steeped in magic naturally, specifically in the winds of magic, and two winds in particular. Who wants to take a guess on what those winds are?
Hearts.
Life and death.
Oh, dang it.
Death, shadow. Yeah, death and shadow.
All right. Any other guesses?
Not that are different.
All right. So, ding, ding, ding. If you guessed shadow and death, you win. Sorry,
Oh, that was-
Toasty.
That was me.
Hell
man.
yeah.
Bitch.
Sorry, Toasty.
That's
You
okay,
gotta
Toasty.
quit
I'll
her.
give you some of my winnings.
So basically, because of how the winds of magic function, they're intrinsically drawn to locations that naturally possess like similar features related to that magic, right? So dark and mysterious forests and swamps of Sylvania are the perfect place for the winds of shadow, which embodies illusion, to gather. To the point that it's actually a very commonly held belief that if a Sylvanian is not in their homes by nightfall, they will never make it home. Like the illusionary fogs can be so bad that if it's nighttime and you are in village and you are either outside your village or even just outside your home, you're gonna see things, you're gonna be driven places. You might be like 5 feet away from your home, and the fog becomes so intense you can't even see it anymore. And instead you actually hear wolves like in the distance in front of you getting closer and closer, causing you to do a 180 and run in the completely other direction, only to end up running into the bogs and swamps of Sylvania, drowning in the swamps and dying out there. Which naturally, your death only causes more of the land to be steeped in death magic.
It's a vicious cycle.
Yeah. Yeah, and not only that, but like the swamps are filled with wild animals too. Let's say a swamp doesn't kill. Let's say it isn't like a fucking quicksand that does you in. There's still like predator birds in there that could pick you clean if you might not even be dead, but you might just be weak enough that the birds decide that they want to eat you, right? Then there's also the bandits that live in there because Sylvania is such a like loosely regulated land. It's such like a backwater place. A lot of criminals from the neighboring provinces of Stirland, Talabakland, Stirland, Talabakland, Ostermark, and like Averland will just like go to Sylvania to escape persecution and like basically escape the law. So naturally, there's even bandits there, and then of course there's fucking beastmen because again, fucking warpstone meteorites land there. So like, yeah, some people are gonna be born beastmen. There's like so many ways you can die, and people are probably never gonna find your body if you do. There's even like a rumor in Sylvania that there are thousands of dead bodies trapped at the bottom of the lakes, rivers, and swamps and sinkholes all across the place. And like it's so bad, and it was so bad that when the cult of Moor came into Sylvania to kind of like try to regulate death, they ended up actually being told by Sylvanians that they actually used to use the swamps and bogs as grave sites for the dead. And so the priests of Moor were literally like taken aback by the sheer like disregard for life and like for corpses, that they ended up actually, a lot of them didn't even want to be in Sylvania because they thought the place was cursed. And those who stayed were basically there because they were not so much sentenced to, but like, hey, we need a priest of more in like, we need this many priests of more in every province. So like, sorry, buddy, you're going there. Oh yeah, and then also because of how frequently like warpstone would fall like onto those lands, instead of having like acid rain, Sylvania occasionally will have like warpstone rain. So instead of it like raining warpstone, the rainwater itself is basically like polluted by warpstone.
Oof.
Yikes.
Sounds like Captain Planet's worst nightmare.
It's awful. And like this also meant that on more than one occasion, the dead wouldn't stay dead. Like corpses, specters, and banshees would just sometimes rise from their graves and walk around the lands, often to sites where they died or that had like significance to them before their death. And sometimes these dead bodies weren't even hostile. Like sometimes a zombie would rise from the dead, would go to the place where it was murdered or where it died, and it would just weep. It would imitate. It would look like it's weeping, but because it's a zombie, it can't actually weep. So it's just there, and that just happens sometimes in Sylvania.
Do they not like crave brains or flesh of the living or anything like that, or
For
is
the
this not
most
a
part,
Nurgle
for the
zombie?
for the most part, the undead are kind of like, I don't want to say they're neutral, but like one of the best ways to put them is that they can vary wildly depending on who's controlling them. Like if a zombie is kind of like animated by nothing, like not by nothing, but like if there's not a like a conscious force controlling them, so like in the case of Sylvania, just the warpstone meteorites and all that stuff, then the zombies will rise from the dead, and they'll typically be not so much docile, but they'll be kind of like a shadow of their former selves. So in cases like in Albion, there's the Island of Wights, and this is a place where the dead rise every night. And it's basically like Valhalla, where they rise every night and they fight to the death, and they kind of like go on a murder spree. But there are some undead in the Island of Wight who are still like noble heroes, or died as like they were noble people when they died. And so when they rise from the dead, they still have this like shadow of nobility, and they fight any evil undead on this island. And it's very similar here in Sylvania, where basically, let's say you died, I don't know, saving a village from beastmen. You might rise from the dead a month later and become like a protector or revenant for your village specifically. But let's say a necromancer raises you, for instance. Well, then you're probably going to be just like a slave to the necromancer's will. Does that answer your question, Gerald?
Yeah, actually, it kind of does.
Sweet. Everyone understand the rules on necromancy, basically. Then.
Yeah, because there's the natural necromancy that you just kind of come back sort of as you, and then the unnatural necromancy of you come back as whatever the person wants you to be.
Yeah. Yeah. You typically are very much a shadow / shell of your former self. But now could you imagine Sylvania becoming an even worse place to live?
Yeah, sure.
Because I'm gonna ask this question to Gerald specifically, but to everyone else. Do you guys remember what the year 1111? What happened in the year 1111?
Not offhand.
This is of the imperial calendar, obviously, not of the real world calendar. If you guys don't know, let me give you a hint. This ties back to our very first episode of Grimlore.
Oh, okay.
Oh wait, was that the Skaven?
Is that when the moon was thrown?
Yeah, the moon
think-
with the Skaven.
This is the year 1111 is the first Skaven War.
Okay.
See, I told you it was the first Skaven War. You just didn't listen to me.
Yeah. So, but hang on, it gets better. Well, it actually gets worse, because in the year 1111, the Empire and Sylvania especially suffered the Black Plague.
Oh no!
Nurgle's
Then,
greatest
wait.
creation.
But wait,
What am I
it gets
standing
better.
for?
Because after the Black Plague, there
His
was a
second greatest
warpstone
creation, he
meteor
created
shower.
Oh, thanks, buddy.
Oh, it wasn't a meteor shower. Okay, so you had the Black Plague, and then you had a warpstone meteor shower. But wait, there's more. Because on top of a meteor shower, there was a particularly large fragment of warpstone that crashed into the Hellfen Swamp. And the Hellfen Swamp is the biggest swamp in Sylvania, and it's the place where basically all of the dead bodies were placed. Like this is where most of the dead bodies were. And when the biggest fragment of warpstone hit this swamp, the entire swamp boiled and drained. And all the dead bodies at the bottom of the swamp immediately rose from the dead. And this began the Night of the Living Dead, where every single dead body across Sylvania immediately rose from the dead. But wait, there's more!
Get
Because
out of
then
my
the
swamp!
Skaven also fucking invaded Sylvania.
Get out of my swamp.
Now. Oh, but wait. There's more. Because
When is
not
it?
only did the Skaven invade, but the Skaven were also fighting against the undead. So you had Sylvania caught in a three-way war between humans, Skaven, and undead.
I got you for the meme here.
Party.
Out of my swamp.
Also, for our dear watchers, just so for a visual aid, this is the man of the hour or three that we'll be talking about. So
Yeah.
get a good look at it. I want
He's
you
on-
all to look at it.
Yeah, that was
he's
cool as
He was a lot
fun.
more handsome before that, all right?
What was that, Toasty?
He was a lot more handsome before that.
He was a lot more handsome before that.
Really?
All right.
I didn't know that was possible.
Oh, so that was your old Tinder picture then.
All right.
My
So-
more recent one. I'm a little bit old now.
The way Daddy left.
All right. So following the Skaven War and the year 1111, and the Dead Rising, Sylvania and the Empire recovered from the Skaven Civil War from the first Skaven Civil War, but because of how depopulated Sylvania was by this conflict, Sylvania was literally annexed by Stirland. So that that land right there basically absorbed the lands that were formerly Sylvania. So this nation that originally wanted to be independent from the Empire and then was later absorbed by the Empire, but at least still had the legitimacy of being a province, has now been resorted to just a county within a greater neighboring and former rival province, because Sylvania and Stirland used to be rivals. So you had this like extra just like gut punch of now you're not even a province anymore, you're a fucking county.
Talk about downgrade.
Are your
Talking about a
taxes
major-
lower?
What was
That
that?
can't feel good.
Castle Drakenhof. All right. Also, while Sylvania was absorbed by Stirland, it was kind of still in name mostly. Like again, this was kind of like Sylvania being absorbed by the Empire, but this one was a bit more official, because Stirland officers were now able to enforce taxation on the Sylvanian population.
Fuck, so the taxes weren't lower.
No.
In fact, they got higher.
I mean, the Empire IRS. They were basically the Empire IRS, and I mean that kind of literally, because Stirland, when they would go into like taxes for Sylvania, they would usually go in under armed escort. Like,
That sounds reasonable. Yeah.
well, the reason they would do it under armed escort is because, like, if you couldn't tell, Sylvania's a bit of a shithole, and there's occasionally
Yeah.
undead and beastmen and bandit attacks. So, like, it makes sense that you would like, the IRS would be armed, but it still doesn't look good for Sylvanian peasants when, like, an army of armed forces and great sword wielding warriors and, like, fucking, like, White Wolf paladins are coming in here. It doesn't create a very nice environment for the peasants. And not only that, but because of how poor Sylvania was, like, economically, a lot of the taxation that Sylvania had to pay, if it wasn't in gold, was in produce, like fucking like food. So not only did you, like, it was either you were paying in gold or you're paying in food, and if you're paying in food, there's a good chance you might starve this winter.
Yeah, it's not gonna
So
endear any good feelings.
yeah,
No,
it was
not
a
at all.
very, very inviting place, and this would be Sylvania's fate for the next 400 years, literally becoming a greater and greater shadow of its former self.
Make Sylvania great again.
That was Vlad's idea, and Sylvania would
Oh, sorry,
continue
I'm
this
jumping the gun.
downward trend. What was that, Joe?
I said, oh, I jumped the gun. My bad. Keep
Um,
going. I got ahead of the story.
So Sylvania would remain in this, like, degrading state during the age of 2 and eventually age of 3 emperors. And during these periods where there was success of more and more emperors claiming, like, clemency, things only got worse for Sylvania. Can someone roll out a little bit to the full map of the empire just so we can get a good view of it? A little bit closer, just a little bit closer. Good. All right. So during the age of 3 emperors, just to give you guys some context. So during the age of 3 emperors, you had the let me see. Yeah. So basically, what it was Talabakland basically did not approve of the I believe it was Averland's elector count becoming the emperor. They basically just didn't like it. It was a political thing, and so Talabaklan, with the support of the cult of Ulrich and the cult of Tal, so two, like, really powerful religious groups, basically declared themselves emperor instead, and elected Empress Attilia as the current emperor of Talabakland. That was the age of 2 emperors. And then eventually, the cult of Ulrich became a bunch of bitches, betrayed Attilia's dynasty, moved over to Middenland, so the fucking province next door, and then created the age of 3 emperors, and had Middenland also secede from the empire. So you had, well, I think Middenland also took Nordland and Ostland with them. I think it was those. No, it was Middenland, Hochland, and Nordland that were one. It was Ostland, Talabakland, and Ostermark that were one. And then it was Sturland, Averland, Wissenland, which is to the south of Averland, were one. And then Reichland was independent. So it was, like, basically 4 separate nations going on. And then also the Western lands were also there, but they didn't show up until later. So you basically had fucking, like, 5 separate nations all at war with each other during this period.
Good old civil wars.
Yeah. Yeah. It was wonderful, really. But because all eyes are focused on these border skirmishes between all the individual emperors, basically the emperor couldn't afford, like, basically whatever Sylvania was kind of just dragged around with whatever Sturland was. They couldn't put any effort into developing Sylvania because, again, Talabakland's right there. They could invade Sturland at any time, and, like, they're not going to waste time developing Sylvania when there's a war on, like, they're literally at war with someone else. So Sylvania just kind of suffered more. And, like, even the cult of Moor, like, they tried to make efforts to improve Sylvania's, not housing crisis, but, like, graveyard crisis, I guess. But there was a major problem with that because anytime someone from Stirland, some like maybe sometimes Helabackland, like someone might actually try to leave and try to improve Sylvania, and some people from Averland, like basically the truth was that every single time someone was appointed to the region of Sylvania, it was never for that person to actually improve Sylvania. It was always a thinly veiled attempt to exile a problematic, controversial, or otherwise unwanted political adversary. So if you were ever assigned to Sylvania, or if someone was ever assigned to Sylvania, it was because that person fucked up somehow, or they did not want that person in one of the big cities.
So basically, it's like a quiet way of getting rid of somebody and masking it like a promotion or something.
Yeah, literally that. And again, these were typically awful people there. And so these awful people go to a location with no intention of actually improving it, and they would just make it worse and would often abuse their power. On the very rare occasion that someone would journey into Sylvania to try, like, let's say you genuinely wanted to improve Sylvania and you went into it, more often than not, you would be swallowed by it. You would either need to become just as deplorable as those who tried that, like just as deplorable as people you were trying to get rid of, or on the very rare cases, you would leave. Like you would just leave because you would give up on Sylvania. Also, Joe's gun. The portal to Nurgle is gone.
No, Nurgle
He got
gives
flushed
the
back down
Nurgle
the
took
toilet.
it away. No.
He got flushed down the toilets. So yeah, that's what happened with Sylvania. If you went there like to try and improve it, you're probably just gonna become just as bad, or you're gonna give up. And like this is where you, as a Sylvanian peasant, are used to living. This is your life. Just to farm, not leave your homes at night, and try not to die in a random warp zone meteor shower. That's what being a peasant in Sylvania is like. How are you guys doing with your life as a Sylvanian peasant?
I mean, probably just like any other imperial peasant, not good.
Yeah.
Well, there's worse places you could be there's better places you could be a peasant in.
Such as
Britonia.
I always
I'd
thought those
rather
argued
die.
worse.
Look, I would rather be with the horse fuckers than this fucking shithole of a province that's Sylvania.
Your
Rather
Honor,
be
let the
Slovenia.
record show what the elf bard just said.
Even Vlad knows what it is. Vlad knows what Sylvania is. That's why we promote making Sylvania great again. Plus, I can't go there. There's a reason I can't cross the border into Sylvania. There's a reason they don't want me there.
Pointy-eared fuck.
I raise
Hey,
the property
only I can
values
insult him like that.
I lower the property values just by being there.
Up here we go.
He has returned. He has risen from the flesh.
Oh, sorry, I used the last of the paper from that book, to finish wiping.
Oh
Hope you don't need
no!
Oh my god, Nagash is gonna kill me.
Make sure
We
you
got three of the
wipe
4K. We got three of the four
wipe the
chaos
pus
files
off. You can put it back
represented.
in the book.
I think we'll be okay.
So, Joe, what are your thoughts? Because this is the place you live as Sylvanian peasants. How do you feel living in this land of Sylvania?
Well, I missed the past 2 minutes because my computer just died, but
It's okay.
I don't know, pretty good.
Yeah,
you're
that's good.
I can't ask for too much.
Toasty.
Don't want to be selfish.
Like, I feel like it's a far superior place to live in Britonia.
Okay. What about Zane? What about you? Would you rather live in Britonia or would you rather live in Sylvania?
I mean, just kind of, based on climate and everything, I would say Britonia, but
But you have to deal with the horse fuckers.
Yeah, I'm aware. Has that ever stopped me before?
That's just another party.
Exactly.
Oh my goodness.
That's just a challenge for him.
You know it.
What's the fucking Hamilton line? It's hard to have sex. It's hard to have intercourse over 4 sets of corsets.
Well, I refuse to participate.
Alright. So we've established Sylvania as a better place to live than Bretonia. I hope Flood hears this well.
I want that to be known that I strongly disagree.
So, now listen, peasants of Sylvania, these 5 beautiful peasants, one of them being a Nurgling. Remember, on the rare occasion you lift your head from the potato fields, you might catch a glimpse of the Count of Sylvania, Count von Drac.
Count Von Daddy, more like it.
He is an asshole.
Well, never mind.
He is one of Sylvania's last piece of old nobility. And the Von Drac family are the last descendants of the former back when Sylvania was a province, the Von Dracs were the Elector Count family. So these guys used to have a lot of prestige very centuries ago, but they've literally been demoted to a fucking count, like a county within another province. And it's actually the Von Drac family that rules from Castle Drakenhof. So that castle in the corner of Sylvania by the World's Edge Mountains, that's where these guys live.
Amazing.
Now, Mr. Count Von Drac, Mr. Otto Von Drac. Now, like I said, he's an asshole, but he's a reasonable one. Because
Count Von
Otto
Sorry, keep going.
Otto hated Sylvania. But he didn't hate Sylvania the way other nobles hated their homelands and their territories. Otto hated Sylvania because he saw it for what it was. Like, he saw it as a dump with no future. He wasn't like an arrogant noble who was like, oh, my peasants aren't farming enough. No, Otto saw it as like, wow, I rule over a dump. And the only thing in Sylvania that Otto genuinely cared for was his daughter Isabella. And Otto wanted nothing more than to give his daughter a good life and to, in a way, save his family's line. And so, to such an extent, Otto straight up offered dowries to noble houses outside of Sylvania and across the empire. Remember, this is the age of 3 emperors /4 emperors, because you have the empire is fractured. You have Middenland as you have the wolf emperors in Middenland, you have the tall emperors in Talabakland, you have the whatever the fuck the Averland empire is called, you have Reichland, and you have fucking the Westerlands. Like, the empire is divided. And Otto was making offers to every single one of those individual empires for a hand to marry his daughter. And he was offering like enormous sums of money, like as dowries, like, hey, marry my daughter, like give me a noble to marry my daughter, and you can have this mass amounts of wealth and everything else. But the thing was, no matter how much Otto offered the dowries, no amount of money could convince anyone to want to marry the daughter of a dying noble house, especially in a rundown shithole like Sylvania. And the shitty thing, the shitty thing was that Otto wouldn't dare see his daughter marry any of the lowborn nobility of Sylvania and risk disgracing her, because to him the nobility of Sylvania were beneath her. No one should have they don't deserve her. And yeah. And even if any of them did actually want to marry her, none of them wanted to. None of them wanted to risk marrying into the Von Dracs. And this wasn't because Isabella wasn't beautiful. She was regarded as like a rose. She was regarded as a rose among it. She was regarded a rose among thorns. Because yeah, she was very beautiful, but just like a rose has thorns, Isabella had Sylvania. Like, yeah, I can marry this beautiful woman. She's fucking gorgeous. But I have to fucking move to Sylvania.
Deal.
Which is like, oh wow, that fucking says a lot.
I have to marry
But yeah.
Scarlett Johansson, but I have to live in Florida. Deal.
Well, hang on a second. For Scarlet, I might reconsider for Scarlet. I'm sorry. But yeah, and also not only that, but not Sylvania, the Von Drax were actually viewed as cursed among a lot of Sylvanian nobility. Like their family just had like this reputation, this dark reputation that a lot of people just kind of like viewed as cursed. And part of the reason why they viewed the Von Drax as cursed is because they were the only ones of the original old nobility of Sylvania to survive the Skaven Wars. And so this kind of gave them this like survivors, like not so much survivor's guilt, but like the survivor's curse. Like, why did every other noble house die but yours survived? Which, like, I think is kind of funny because it's like, I don't know, maybe they fucking got lucky, but you guys are so fucking superstitious. You guys are just like, oh my god, they must be cursed. They survived.
Valid.
I say, heresy.
I mean, okay. Now, isn't to say that the Von Drax didn't have. Some of the counts were known to suffer from madness, delusion, and insanity. But like, that was a fucking, that didn't happen all the time.
And we're going to do a slight detour. I cannot find a human version of Isabella, but so light spoiler alert.
Yeah,
She turns Jewish.
Oh my god.
No.
Would.
But okay. So speaking of Isabella, since we're on the topic of her, yeah, no one wanted to marry her because a lot of people actually believe she suffered the same madness that the Von Drax were like known to suffer. And the reason why they believed she was mad, the reason why they believed she suffered from madness was because she had these delusional ideas and she had these bouts of insane ravings. What these ravings were was the fact that she was a feminist.
Oh, I knew I didn't like her. Oh. Toasty.
You see, Isabella had these ideas that a woman shouldn't have to be handed off to a man to marry, that a woman could inherit, that a woman could be a lord slash like, leader.
Yeah, she's
And
married to a lizard. That's fine. So, like, that's what I mean. Like, this is Sylvanian this is the civilian population. This is Sylvania. Like, she's like, hey, maybe a woman can inherit, and they're being like, she's fucking insane. She's a witch. Witch.
In the medieval times, that's just what you call being a woman, unfortunately.
she suffered from hysteria.
Yeah. Trying to be an actual independent person. How dare she?
Good times.
How dare she? Now, to make things worse for Isabella, Otto was dying because Sylvania was a pretty shitty place, so disease was pretty rampant, and Otto was actually like suffering this illness, and he was gonna die. And the problem is that because like Isabella was a woman, so she wouldn't inherit the Von Drac line. Instead, the line would pass to Otto's brother, and Otto's brother. Otto's brother is the worst kind of noble. So while Otto hated Sylvania because it couldn't be better, it was just a shithole of a place. His brother hated Sylvania because he was the worst type of noble who just thought he was better than everyone and was willing to work the peasants to death, kind of thing. Like, he was just a genuine asshole.
Wait, he was an elf?
And he was. Excuse the fuck out of me.
I mean,
Excuse-
basically,
continue.
he's
You
wrong.
know
Carry on.
what? I'm gonna fucking Where's the vortex? I'm fucking taking in the vortex. Fuck you.
I live here.
He
You
looked at me
can't get
funny.
rid
I'm
of me
fucking
anymore.
destroying the world. I was about to get to the incest part too.
Oh no!
Oh boy, my favorite.
All right, everyone, shut up. We have to get there. I'm excited.
I'm on the edge of my
Because-
seat. Let's go.
I'm edging in my seat.
I'm edging on my seat.
no.
So because
I stand
Otto's
up before
brother,
the
in order
fallout.
to basically, because this is like feudal, this is feudal logic. In order to like make sure that, in order to make sure that Isabella's children can't like potentially challenge him, Otto's brother aims to marry Isabella to basically join the family line, and so that her children can't risk challenging him for the right to rule Sylvania. Yeah. And Otto doesn't like this because one, he loves his daughter, but also he's her fucking uncle.
More like fucking your uncle.
Daddy uncle.
And well, no, the Otto's brother would be Isabella's uncle. And like Sylvania, because of how sparsely, because of how small population were, like Sylvanians were already kind of closely related because like it's the least populated province, alongside how difficult it is to travel between towns and villages. It was pretty common for like you to kind of marry your cousins to a point in Sylvania. So they have a lot of the inbred jokes as well.
It's just the
But
southern United States. It's okay, guys.
yeah, but Otto actually
Rude.
wanted to. um, Even on his deathbed, though, Otto wanted to buck tradition and Jane wanted to give his daughter a better life. And when his brother was like, "Oh, it's okay, I can marry her," Otto straight up said he would rather see his daughter wed the devil himself than his monster of a brother.
Well, damn. I
Thus,
think I think I can make
appeared.
that happen.
Now, suddenly, you, as a peasant in these lands, hear this drama, and suddenly you hear of a stranger from distant lands, as Vlad von Carstein arrives in Sylvania from the Border Princes. So the Border Princes are the lands below the Grey Mountains, so they're south of the Grey Mountains to the east, and these are basically like free provinces, not free provinces. They're basically a bunch of independent kingdoms where, let's say, you're a noble from the empire, or you're like a really high-ranking noble lord from Bretonia, but you're not, but you have no say future. You have basically you're like a mid-tier noble. You'll go to the border princes, and you're like me mid-tier level wealth and influence, alongside like just a good amount of household guards, can actually make it so that if you go into the border princes, you can establish yourself as basically like your own petty king. Like it's just that kind of place where if you have enough money and enough friends, you could basically become a king in these lands. And the thing is that
Well, we're waiting.
The thing is, meh,
Von Drask, because like Otto's immediately like, what? There's a member there's a member of old nobility. He immediately like has his scholars investigate the von Carstein nobility and lineage, and they actually discover that the von Carsteins are old nobles of Sylvania who were given land and titles back when Sylvania was a province back in the year 1111. So this is when Sylvania was still a province, and the Von Drax were still the Elector Counts. The Von Drax actually installed the Von Carsteins as nobility, and so it's actually because of this investigation, Otto instantly was like invested in the stranger. Like he instantly jumped at the chance for Vlad to marry Isabella, because not only did Vlad represent like that old nobility, he was like the old Sylvanian nobility, but Vlad also brought a lot of treasure with him, to the point that he actually refused the dowry from Otto and said that he would actually give Otto and Sylvania as a province its own dowry. Like he would basically buy Isabella's hand in marriage. And Otto,
As you should.
as you should, and Otto literally on his deathbed ordered a priest to meet him in his chambers, got Vlad in his armor and Isabella in a wedding dress, and had them perform the marriage right in that fucking room that night. Like Otto was like, "Fuck it, get the priest, get the fucking priest, marry them right fucking Vegas wedding, bitch, Vegas wedding." And then immediately after like the marriage was done, like you may now kiss the bride, Otto fucking expired. Like he fucking died after the wedding was done, just dead in his deathbed. And it said he died happy because the last thing he seen was his daughter being given. Yes. Now, you know what Vlad did after marrying Isabella?
What?
He
Your
he
ass.
looked at Otto's brother and he was like, "So, you wanted to marry my wife." And then suddenly, for some mysterious reason, Otto's brother fell from the top of the von Drakenhof Tower and fell hundreds of feet with all of his arms and legs broken and his neck partially snapped before he fell onto a bunch of conveniently placed spikes at the bottom. Complete accident. I hate when
I
that
don't know, man.
happens.
He just walked out the window and just fell. I don't know.
Yeah, he just
I
fell,
mean,
He was
broke
just
his
looking
limbs while
out
he was
over
falling.
the
It was
fucking
really
veranda,
tragic.
all right? Shit happens.
I mean,
Yeah.
his body just did that.
You like
Forever be a
Yeah.
mystery.
I just love that just looking. Now this is where things get interesting, especially for you guys as peasants of Sylvania, because within weeks of taking the throne as count, Vlad instantly started relocating his vast wealth and treasures and relics from his lands and the border princes to Castle Drakenhof. So you might be, working the fields and then look over your shoulder and see carriages, like multiple carriages of exquisite design, of incredible extravagance, being pulled by these beautiful, majestic horses. And the entire things are littered with treasures and gold and wealth and books, stuff that you can't even comprehend how much wealth might be located in there, as it's all being relocated to Castle Drakenhof. Literally, and he made sure that these carriages moved through Sylvania. Vlad wanted to make sure that the peasant population saw his wealth, saw what he was bringing into their province. Alongside that, though, Vlad also brought in a host of personal attendants and servants to the point that it was basically like a small army's worth of people who suddenly relocated into Sylvania to join Vlad at Castle Drakenhof. Like it was like just that many people showed up and relocated there.
Castle jacking off.
I was waiting for someone to make that joke.
I was waiting for that. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm not surprised. I'm not surprised.
No, I'm not either.
I'm just
I'm
but
just
hang
surprised
on,
it took that long.
Honestly, yeah, I'm disappointed it took
I
that long
wanted
as
somebody
well.
else to do it. Damn it.
I was waiting on the Slaneshi to take
the
it,
whole
but it was
time.
fucking toasty.
I was going to let everybody else take it. I didn't want to take the low hanging fruit. I wanted everybody else to have a chance at it.
I mean, speaking of low-hanging fruit,
No.
Give you a
oh
long
my
low-hanging
god,
fruit.
yeah, I'm done.
No. Fuck
You're
off. No.
I give you some low hanging
Back
fruit.
to Vlad. Back to Vlad. All right. Now, hang on. Now, again, not only was this a little bit odd, Vlad got even more odd as the ruler of Sylvania, because over the course of the next several years, Vlad was just kind of weird. Like he was a weird
I'm
count.
weird.
Well, he never ate in the presence of others except Isabella. He never left the palace grounds, especially during the day. He only ever left for like midnight strolls. So like he just like He wouldn't eat. He just hung out with Isabella. He would only ever go out at night. He tended to like dismiss a lot of Drakenov's men at arms. He just kind of like put a bunch of his servants in charge of Drakenov. Just kind of make sure that
Soldiers in
people
charge of jacking off.
yeah. Although, on the bright side, though, while he did like exile a bunch of Drakenov's former staff, he didn't like just fire them. He actually retired them and gave them paychecks and services. Like he gave them he gave the previous servants severance checks.
That's not very fun.
I feel like there's a catch. There has to be a catch to that.
Or like this is like some kind of euphemism for well,
No, I'm genuinely being serious. He legitimately like gave like he was like, thank you for your service. Here's a little bit. Here's some wealth. Go, go live somewhere in Sylvania. Here's like $500. Go live in Sylvania. Thanks for your service. Yeah.
like just
So
straight
a little
up.
bit, he was a little bit eccentric. He tended to do that sometimes. On top of that, though, the weirdest thing about Vlad was he genuinely seemed to admire the lands of Sylvania. And shockingly, he wasn't as oppressive as any of the other counts before him.
Okay.
He was genuinely less oppressive. And on top of that, he actually made efforts to improve the life for people around Sylvania. He actually constructed primitive roads. He built cemetery fields outside of the towns. He would even organize search and rescue for natural disaster and beastman raids. Like Vlad was just a pretty cool guy. Like he was a pretty great, like just a really good human ruler. Like he was one of the best rulers of Sylvania. And like
I still call sus. No noble of the empire of all places is that benevolent, except for maybe Karl Franz.
yeah. Actually, no, hang on, it gets better. Because actually, on one occasion, like Vlad was like so generous, so incredibly nice, that when a massive warpstone meteor destroyed the city of Mordheim, like destroyed the entire city, Vlad himself personally organized a massive recovery effort to help recover the city of Mordheim and save the people, helping people out of the city, and actually sent in his own forces to try and recover the damage and recover dead bodies and help prepare those people for a proper burial. Like, yeah, Vlad was a bit eccentric. Like, again, he was a bit eccentric. He just did a lot of nice things, but he just didn't like religion though. Like, all the Empire rulers are kind of weird. I think it's
knew there was
like
something to it.
Marnius. Oh, what was that?
I said I knew there was something to it.
Yeah, he just didn't like churches. He didn't like religion. He didn't like religious servants in the castle. He actually like couldn't stand them in his presence. But like, I mean, like, I don't know. He just didn't like religious people. He thought they were distrustful, dishonest, and like honestly unwelcome. And like honestly, I can kind of understand they can be kind of preachy. And like yeah, because Vlad, saw what religion could do and how it could divide people. He really thought it would be best if like the priests of Moor, especially these people who just like desecrated the dead bodies of other people, if they just left. Just leave. Just get out of Sylvania, these priests of Moor, like you guys are really just you guys shouldn't really be here. And yeah. and Vlad also like recognized that Sylvania was basically being used. I don't want to say a prison camp, but again, like people were being exiled to Sylvania effectively to get rid of their worst people. Vlad shut that shit down. He was like, "Hey, I don't want any of your priests. I don't want any of your political figures. No. Keep your dregs of your society, of your political regimes, keep them out of Sylvania." Like Vlad basically locked down Sylvania to prevent outsiders from risking making his place worse. So it was a pretty okay people. Pretty okay thing, and like that was his way of kind of keeping his lands pure and safe. And in fact, Vlad's desire to see his people safe and secure extended so much that he would actually personally help drive off bandit raids that would attack his village. Or not villages, like the village of Sylvania. Like on one instance, Bernhoff the bitch murderer across Telebackland, and him and his bandits actually fled into Sylvania to try to escape Telebackland persecution. And they actually ended up attacking a number of towns across Sylvania. And when Vlad heard about this band of his murderers, he personally rode off to the village alongside his personal Blood Dragon knights to meet Bernhoff in the field. And he actually met Bernhoff outside this village that he had just sacked, and said that he would offer him a merciful and honorable death. So like, hey, fight me one-on-one. And there, Vlad fought this bandit leader. He was considered a giant of a man. Like he was basically, imagine the Hound from Game of Thrones. Like he was a big guy. And as Vlad fought him, Vlad swore to give him an honorable death. He proceeded to make Bernhoff look like a little bitch. So he faced Bernhoff. He faced him armored in nothing but his sword. Like he just had like basically his regalia on and his sword. He was completely unarmored otherwise, while Bernhoff was fully armored. And every single blow the Butcher delivered, he parried those blows that would have crushed normal men, and he danced where other people would have died. But instead of killing the brute like instantly and quickly, he bled him dry. Every single strike he did, he made sure to give him the death of 1,000 cuts. And every single time he did so, he would do it in a humiliating and painful fashion. So he wouldn't just like cut you. He would cut your tendons so it would hurt more and make you fall on your knees. And all the while that he was doing this to Bernhoff, his personal honor guard on their horses were literally watching. They never raised their hands. They never even considered coming to Vlad's aid. Instead, all they did was laugh and joke at the dying brute. And they complimented the Lord's footwork, grace, and craftsmanship. They even ended up actually insulting Bernhoff's men, his mercenaries, and actually calling them weak for serving such a weakling as Bernhoff. Like they're like, wow, you guys must be pussy made if you guys are gonna let this pathetic whelp of a man lead you. And it was only once Bernhoff was literally bled dry, like he had no more blood left in his body, that Vlad stopped moving. He then gracefully cleaned his sword with his favor till it was completely clean, and then he stuck his sword into the ground. Then he ended up walking before the bandits, and he said to all of them that they would not be given the same mercy he was. And then, faster than anyone could react, he disappeared and ran at the bandits, and with his bare hands proceeded to rip them apart, murdering them with his bare hands. And what's more, the entire time that Vlad was doing this, he told his nightly bodyguard to only ride out and stop those who were running away. If they were fighting him, fine. But if you tried to run away from Vlad, his knights would run you down and kill you and would cut you down.
I gotta stop this right here because Blood Dragons just goes so hard as a
as a bodyguard unit.
Yeah, that sounds so good.
Yeah. And once Vlad was done, once these bandits were all dead, anyone who ran away was instantly killed. Once Vlad was done, he personally cut off every single one of their heads and placed them on pikes around Castle Drakenhof as a warning to any future bandits or anyone who tries to search it in Sylvania.
Okay, there's the historical Vlad Dracula reference.
Yeah, and
Among
every
other
single
things.
time. Yeah, and every single time something even remotely close to a bandit attack happened, Vlad wouldn't send his armies. He would go personally and he would handle it himself. And where other people might have seen this man rip army, would have people saw Vlad rip this army apart, but they didn't scream or they didn't panic. The Sylvanians who saw this, they cheered and they were infatuated by it because they saw this superhuman effectively fight by himself, fight off 100 men by himself, and personally rip them to shreds. That is something that you can't. That is a type of like admiration and loyalty you cannot buy. Now, as great as that was, and as awesome as Vlad was for like, I think he was ruling Sylvania for 40 years. Tragedy would strike because we can't have nice things.
It's
Because the
Warhammer. We
great
can
and
never have nice
beautiful,
things.
yeah, because you see, Isabella von Carstein had fallen sick with a disease that, like her father, would probably kill her. And she was dying. And when word reached Vlad, who at this point was protecting Sylvania's borders from invaders, he immediately dropped any pretense and ran back home. He was like, "Hey, I'm protecting Sylvania's borders. What? My wife is sick. Fuck this. I'm going home." And he stayed by her side, all while doctors from all across Sylvania, all across Stirland and Averland, all tried their best to help her. He even led priests and other holy figures into his chambers to pray by Isabella's side to try and help her. Like he was that desperate to save her life. He brought priests into his house. And unfortunately, none of them could succeed. One doctor literally told Vlad that his wife was dead, that her heart stopped. And Vlad, in his anger, kicked the doctor out. He kicked out every single doctor, everyone who ever came close to treating his wife, and told them all to leave the castle grounds, to leave Sylvania forever. And grief stricken and enraged, he said that they failed her, that they killed his wife, and that it was his mercy to let them leave the lands. Then Vlad, love mad and brokenhearted, stole Isabella's body away and declared that he would cure her of death itself. And well, as if overnight, by miracle or by magic, 3 days later, Isabella returned. Yeah, true, she was a little bit more pale than normal. Like her complexion was never the same. Her lips were a little bit bright red, and her eyes were a little bit sharper. But what's more, and like what's really bad though, was the entire ordeal left her so weak in direct sunlight, she had to stay inside for hours, much like her husband. But I mean, like just it must have been the cure. Like Vlad must have gave her some sort of like really good medicine. Like it was probably like, some really good medicine that really helped Isabella really recover. And I'm really happy that those priests, those doctors, those people who like, clearly they were liars. Like no way Isabella died, right? You as a Sylvanian peasant believe this. You do not see any issue with anything I have said.
No, of course not. There is no war in Bossing Say.
Yeah. The thing was though is that while Isabella's resurrection was amazing, strange things did tend to occur a bit more frequently around Sylvania. Like for example, people started to wander off into the fog more often. So like that's kind of shitty. Like the fog was more common, like more intense. The roads that once connected people seemed to like drift off endlessly. The dead were rising from the crypts a lot more often. Um, but like really weirdly though is that like while the dead would rise, they would never like attack anyone. They would kind of just like huddle together in greater and greater numbers as like these hordes that would just kind of like be outside towns, just kind of gathered outside towns. So like
Just
imagine just
standing
like
there doing nothing.
they're literally like imagine a bunch of zombies, heads down, just kind of like wandering in like a pack outside town, not doing anything. Like the only time they ever get aggressive is if you get too close to them or you try to like fight them. Then they'll pull you into the horde and rip you apart. But otherwise, they're not aggressive. They're just kind of wandering outside of town, and in some cases, they're actually circling the towns. And yeah, just kind of circling it. Although, interestingly, bandit raids stopped almost completely when this happened. Oh,
Hmm.
and here's another weird thing. If someone dies in town, their bodies kind of rise from the dead and just wander off. Like, it wasn't just like, oh, I died. Like, if you died, your body just got up and just joined the pack outside. Like, unless you, like, actively intervene or tried to stop the body, like, tried to stop the zombie, they would kind of just aimlessly and, like, harmlessly join the masses outside.
Let's join the mothership.
They're just standing there menacingly.
Wee woo, wee woo, wee woo.
Well, okay, I shouldn't say that like they weren't completely. They were just saying them menacingly, because on occasion there were some like newborn nobles who would try to challenge Vlad, and they would often like keep resources or wealth themselves, or they would oppress their population, and because like they would basically oppress their peasants, basically like legally, because they were like the lords, they were able to oppress it. And if Vlad ever caught wind of like these traitorous actions, well, I mean, like, yeah, the dead would stay outside, but like these dead bodies would almost be driven by a sense of vengeance. Like they knew these lords were bad people, and they would just like crawl in through their windows and under their floorboards, and they would rip them to shreds. And interestingly, as if like a demonstration of just how vile these people were, their bodies wouldn't be resurrected. So, like, if you were a shitty lord, you weren't getting resurrected, which is like a really weird kind of fun thing to imagine, because like it almost like added more fear to it, that like you were so bad, even you wouldn't even be resurrected as a zombie.
You're so bad, even your necromancer didn't want you.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, you have a necromancer watching over you, basically. Oh, also, while Vlad was ruling Sylvania, he actually ended up having five. Him.
I'm sorry, could you repeat that? You kind of cut out.
Oh, sorry. I said Vlad had five children with Isabella. Strangely, though, we never seen them as kids, and they all seem to be the exact same age as Vlad. Also, for some reason, Vlad's been ruling Sylvania for 40 years and doesn't look any different.
Not suspicious at all.
Wait
Yeah,
a
I
minute.
know, right?
Who is Isabella? What? Wait, what?
Isabella is the lady who Vlad marries.
Okay. I thought that was his kid, though, right?
No, Isabella is his wife.
Oh, okay. Oof. Sorry. I got mistracked somewhere, and I was very
It's
worried.
okay. Isabella is Otto's daughter, and Otto was the
Oh,
former
okay,
ruler of
okay.
Sylvania. But Vlad married Isabella, and then Otto died.
Gotcha. Okay.
Yeah. Oh, I should also mention, regardless though, you know that Vlad and the Von Carsteins, even though like, it's a little suspicious that they don't look any different, you know that they're a good lot of people. And what's more, like you know that like Vlad has your back. He's doing all these things to try and improve Sylvania. But you actually heard something about him. Vlad is sick and tired of Sylvanian oppression. And Vlad is almost considering independence. But wait, you hear another rumor. Vlad doesn't want independence. Vlad wants to become the emperor of the Tal Empire. Then you hear another rumor. No, Vlad doesn't just want to become the emperor of the Tal Empire. Vlad is hiring mercenaries from the border princes to join his household in Drakenhof. Vlad is amassing an army. And then there's one more rumor. And this one, it's true. Vlad wants to unite the empire and end the age of three emperors that has divided the nation for the last 800 years. Vlad von Carstein is calling his banners and he's preparing to march for war. And even if Sylvania is outnumbered, a part of you, as a peasant, believes you can win. It is the year 2010 of the imperial calendar, and the first vampire war begins. And Vlad von Carstein performs a ritual on top of Castle Drakenhof to raise the dead across all of Sylvania. And as all the dead that were alive march to join his army. And for you, you might just be a peasant with a pitchfork, but you are surrounded by 20 undead who all stand in formation around you, armed with weapons, and are ready to take the fight to the Empire and to everyone else. You have an army that outnumbers most other armies because Vlad has raised that army from the dead of Sylvania.
And these undead soldiers don't attack their living counterparts, just the
They do
Empire.
not.
Oh, base.
They do not. And what's more, these undead are functioning as meat shields for the living.
Wow. Okay. Normally, when something like this happens, like the still living counterparts are the first victims.
No, the dead are the front lines. The dead are the front lines. The humans are armed with crossbows and shields and spears. The humans are given ranged weapons and high defenses, while the undead are given weapons that promote like charging into the fray and attacking people, like using their vast weight of numbers. So the humans, as a human, you have the best chance of survival in Vlad's army.
That's again based. I have no other words.
Yes. Now, that this all raises one super huge question though. Who is Vlad von Carstein?
Next time
This is
on
where we
Unsolved Mysteries.
well, this is where we begin with the real start of our story. And we go to the beginning of Vlad von Carstein, or as he was known in his youth, Vashanesh, that was the born heir to the city of Kemri, prince of the fifth dynasty, and the blood of Nagash, the great necromancer.
Oh boy.
Vashanesh was a bastard prince, the king of Kemri, and you can kind of think of him like Ramsay Bolton, where he's like the bastard, but he's basically the biological kid.
Mm-hmm.
And again, this is Kemri. This is back before the Tomb Kings. This is the height of the Nehekaran Empire. To put into perspective, this is 3,000 years before the current date.
Okay.
So, Vashanesh was raised within the court and courtyards of the city of Kemri. He took to learning politics behind ruling and even learned about the other cities of Kemri. And he also took to sword fighting and leadership really well, becoming both a great warrior and excellent commander. So Vashanesh was basically the prototypical prince of an Egypt of a Nehekaran city. So basically a city in Egypt. Yes, we're literally at the height of the Egyptian Empire for people who want perspective on this. The thing was, Vashanesh and his family, they were related to Nagash because when Nagash took control of Kemri, he tended to he kind of had kids with some concubines, and then when Nagash was kicked out of Kemri by the cities, his children his like descendants took power and became just the rulers of Kemri. But they always had like this stigma around them because they had the blood of Nagash like within them. And because of this, Setep, who was the Lord Commander of Kemri's military, yeah, there it is. There's Neakara. Fucking sweet. So yeah, Setep feared that the family line of Vashanesh would lead to the end of Neakara. Like he believed that that Vashanesh and his family would doom Neakara. So he became a military dictator and started a coup to take over Kemri, and actually led to Vashanesh's father being killed. As a result, though, Vashanesh would flee the city of Kemri and would actually just kind of wander the desert. And despite the Setep sending out scouts to find and kill Vashanesh, he could never be found. Vashanesh just kind of wandered the desert, and he would spend the next 40 days and 40 nights wandering the desert.
Moses?
Hey.
From there, though, Vashanesh would actually find his way to the city of Lamia. So, can we see the city of Lamia on the map? Right there, the cursed city to the coast by the Sea of the Dead / the Bitter Sea. So, can we find? So you have Kemri, which is in the middle of Neakara, which is the city of the dead, or sorry, the city of the kings, and this is where Vashanesh was. and he wandered all the way to the city of Lamia, to the cursed city. So pretty fucking far. Now, the thing about Lamia is that it was the furthest Nehekaran city, and it has always been seen as like an outsider. The leaders of Lamia were always kind of secretive, and they actually rarely engaged in diplomacy outside of actually helping with the defeat of Slanesh, not Slanesh, the defeat of Nagash so many years earlier. But it was actually unprecedented in comparison to the other cities because while every other city sent like 50% of their army to fight Nagash, Lamia actually sent almost their entire military force to help defeat Nagash, which is really weird because again they're one of the furthest cities. Like again, they are basically protected by this mountain range to their west, while all the other cities were mostly suffering from Nagash's oppression. So they suffered the least, but they provided like most of the military force to stop Nagash and take back Kemri, which like raises a lot of questions, obviously. And this is actually one of the reasons that Vashanish was drawn to Lamia, because Lamia was always seen as like secretive and had this reputation about it that
Hello, darkness, my old friend.
The sound of silence.
They're all these things. They're all these awful things. And Vashanish and Vashanish's father always said no, like don't worry about it. And then once Setep took control and forced Vashanish out, his desire was to eventually crush the city of Lamia. So that's why Vashanish went there to basically both seek political refuge and also to try and save them in a way. And this is actually where Vashanish would meet the queen of the Lamia city, Neferata, the second Goth mommy, because Isabella's the first.
Yeah, I suppose I gotta find a
Yeah.
picture. Oh
You-
Yes,
wow!
please.
Oh
yeah.
wow! Okay.
Going.
Okay. Here you go.
Hello.
Hell yeah.
Ooh, that fit.
There's
is
me on the left.
Fire.
I let her put cigarettes out on me.
I let her do whatever she wants to me. Woo. Nice.
Just yes. All right. So that is Neferata.
She also like wears the helmet of a manta ray that killed fucking.
So
what's her name?
Neferata is kind of important, so she's kind of gonna need her own episode. But she's kind of a bitch, just so you guys know.
Aren't they
Speaking
all?
my language.
But Vashanish, he presented himself as an ally and actually offered her secrets and alliance. Basically was like, hey, listen, I got kicked out of my home city. Would you be willing to make a political alliance? Because he was technically still the heir apparent of Kemri, so he still held political power. Technically, even if he didn't have any actual power, his name alone could give you legitimacy and power. And Vashanish revealed that Setep was planning to wipe out Lamia with potentially the help of the other kingdoms. Though Vashanish swore his loyalty to Neferata and her court in return for the chance to avenge his honor and his father. And as a result, he was actually given command over Lamia's armies. And as a result, he was actually able to fight off the invading forces of Setep and the armies of Kemri. So, like, Setep and his forces were coming to attack Lamia. Vashanish was like, hey, bitch, remember me? Yeah, I fucking thought so. And fucking fought off Setep and kept him from wiping out Lamia. And he was often so skilled at these fights that he was able to actually swing the tides of battle in their favor, even when the forces of Lamia were outnumbered. And this actually caused him to earn the respect and admiration of Neferata. And he and her actually grew closer as time went on. His service to her and his court and her court basically became more and more invaluable. This is where Vashanish would be made a vampire through the elixir of life by Neferata. And this is where the origin of the vampires really begins. Because do you want to know why Neferata and the forces of Lamia sent such a huge army to fight Nagash and kick him out of the city?
Well, other than the gas can suck balls, but go ahead and elaborate.
I mean, so could she.
It was
Hell.
It was because after sacking the city of Kemri, the forces of Lamia recovered all of Nagash's stolen books and brought them to the city of Lamia, where Neferata would study them.
Okay.
And it was with the books of Nagash under her control that Neferata tried to recreate the potion of immortality, which Nagash created earlier. The problem was though is that because Nagash is a dickhead and put a portion of his soul within every single one of the 9 books in Nagash, only he was able to fully access all the knowledge within. And so this meant that when Neferata recreated the elixir of life, she ended up creating a deliberately cursed and impure version. One that didn't offer perfect immortality but turned the person into a vampire. So it was like, here's the recipe for it. Here's the recipe for immortality. You follow the recipe and become a vampire.
Deal.
Oh.
Close, but not quite.
Yeah.
I'll do whatever she tells me. I wouldn't even think about it.
I'll drink it.
Kill
This
me.
this
God,
meant that
kill me.
technically you could live forever, but you would always crave the lifeblood of mortals, and if you didn't consume the lifeblood of mortals, you would actually slowly be driven insane by your hunger. But this is actually, and so when you drink the cursed elixir, like when you drink the impure version of the elixir of life, you become a first generation vampire. So every first generation vampire are ones who drink from the elixir, and these are typically the ones who start vampire bloodlines. Basically only first generation vampires can start bloodlines technically, but that doesn't mean that second, third, fourth, etc. Vampires haven't tried to carve out their own bloodline to varying degrees of success. And
Now,
you
now
go ahead, Joe.
question: Is
Yeah.
this any way related to the first and second generation salon, where each successive one is less and less powerful, or is that something different?
It's kind of close. It's kind of close, but a little bit different. So, the first generation vampires are the first bloodlines. So for example, Neferata has her own bloodline. They are the Lamian bloodline. Ushiran has his bloodline, and Vlad has the von Carstein bloodline. And typically, you can think of the bloodlines almost like Space Marine Gene Seed, or like Vampire the Masquerade, where basically whoever's bloodline you're drawn to, you become more associated with those traits or aspects. You typically take on the physical traits and mannerisms of that type of vampire. So if, for example, let's say I'm Vlad von Carstein, I'm a first generation Vlad von Carstein vampire, and I bite you, Gerald, you would then become a second generation von Carstein vampire, and so you would take on some of the mannerisms of a von Carstein. You then bite Zane, they become a third generation. Continue the process down to get to Toasty till we get to Joe, right? So now we would have a fifth generation vampire in this situation. Now, what happens is every generation has a degree of influence and control over the generation that follows them. So, for example, a second generation vampire has a degree of influence and control over a third generation, and then they have even more control over a fourth generation. And this works in reverse, where let's say you are the leader of a bloodline. That means that not only are you in control of second generations, but you have authority and influence over second, third, fourth, and every subsequent generation of vampire from your own bloodline.
Okay, so basically, it's
It's like a pyramid scheme.
So it is all one giant pyramid measuring contest.
It's all Avon.
Well, Well, here. Let's put it this way, okay? Let's say I bite you, Gerald, right, and then I bite Zane. So you guys are both second generation vampires. Then you, Gerald, you bite Toasty. Zane bites Joe. You, Joe, would have control over Toasty because you bit him, but you wouldn't have any influence over Joe. But Zane would have influence over Joe because Zane bit him. Toasty and Joe would have no influence over anyone except the people they bite. However, because I, as a first generation, bit both of you, I would also have control over anyone you guys have bit. So that would
Okay,
give me,
funny idea.
yeah,
Oh, we're like your grandkids. Except
basically, yeah. I should also mention that the further down the generations you go, the more powerful and oppressive the influence becomes. So, for example, if the generation difference is only one, the influence isn't like total control. It's more like you're more willing to listen to the person, to believe what they say, to do what they want you to do, and you might be like more amazed by what they can do. You might be like more enamored with what they say. It's more like you're charmed than you're being mind controlled. But like if for a first generation to like say a fifth generation, then it's like total mind control.
Now I should probably ask too, like, and in real life, vampire lore kind of varies on how you become one. Some it's all it takes is a bite. Others it's like you have to willingly drink the blood. So how does that work with Warhammer specifically?
It's not really made clear. It's stated that you are given the blood kiss, which is basically just the vampire drinks your blood. But it's never fully specified on what the blood kiss does, except for the fact that like you can't just give anyone the blood kiss. There are like some prerequisites and some things you have to do it, but it isn't like you can just bite 100 people and they all become vampires. There is some degree of like window where you can't just like you can bite one person, you have to wait a little bit. You have to bite another person, you have to wait a little bit. But another thing with vampires, they will rarely, sorry, vampires will rarely choose to, um, I guess, overpopulate themselves. Like vampires as a race almost instinctively want to keep their population numbers down, as contradictory as that sounds, just because like if you have too it's kind of like having too many predators in an environment. It's going to fuck up the ecosystem.
Very insightful.
Yeah, give me just 1 second.
One.
you're telling
3
me,
hours later.
you're telling
The
me 13% of the vampires make up 52% of the control.